this girl, the most beautiful in the world. She had all the boys in town wrapped around her finger. Oh, she would walk the halls and everyone would whisper and talk, 'cause all the girls in town wanted to be her. But behind those emerald eyes, she's a devil in disguise. The prom queen is bananas. Every boy and girl she dates disappears without a trace. So be careful when she asks you to dance. She's a motherfucking killer queen, a psychopath at 17, a beauty in a bloodstained dress. She'll fill your heart with kerosene and light you up till you can't breathe. If you cross your path, you just might end up dead. There was this girl who was broken by the world, 'cause every day at school they'd push and shove her. Oh, but she had a plan. One day she would get her revenge, and those cheerleaders and jogs would be 6 feet under. But behind those angel eyes lies a devilish surprise. The prom queen is killed for her crown. Every boy and girl she seeks never comes back in one piece. So be careful when she tries to ask you out. She's a motherfucking killer queen, a psychopath at 17, a beauty in a bloodstained dress. She'll fill your heart with kerosene and light you up till you can't breathe. If you break her heart, you just might lose your head. She's dancing by herself, she's crying the queen of hell. Tears will sink into her skin. She's gonna get revenge, you're all gonna know her name. She's the one and only killer queen. Killer queen, she sold her soul at 17, a beautiful and broken mess. She'll fill your heart with kerosene and light you up till you can't breathe. If you break her heart, you just might meet your end.
There we go. I don't know why that wasn't working, but it's fine now. It's been a while. Too long. Bailey was doing art fight throughout the entire last month. And I know that they were streaming. But we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. Because this channel specifically has a lot of views and subscribers and is spreading a lot of misinformation, so I will only be speaking about the DID portions as always, because that is the disorder that we have. We have been diagnosed professionally since 2021. And we did get a second diagnosis from our DID specialist a few weeks ago, I believe. So we are twice professionally diagnosed. I know that we've shown proof of that a while ago. I don't remember when. Do not send anyone mentioned in these videos any hate, harassment. Do not attack them. Just because they are spreading misinformation does not mean that they deserve to be harassed. I am making these videos and doing these streams for educational purposes, to correct misinformation, and to destigmatize a disorder that we live with every day. Okay.
That different part.
Oh, there's a whole section. Interesting. Okay, at least it's split up.
Misguiding betrayals are also present in pop culture, such as the controversial film Split, which contributed to the widespread misunderstanding of DID. This condition, often misrepresented as violent and dangerous, deserves a more accurate explanation. So what exactly is dissociated identity disorder? DID is a mental condition where an individual has two or more distinct personalities, often referred to as alts or identities.
I've never heard the term alter be shortened to alt, because that is usually a term that means alternate, as in alternate accounts and things. It could be used by some systems, but I have never personally heard the term alt be used to describe alters.
Alter carries the potential for its own personality, memories, behaviors, gender, and sexuality. Even some attributes like allergies. These alters coexist within a single person and from what is commonly referred to as system. Even though this individual pretends to have DID for likes and views, DID is a very rare and serious mental condition.
Okay. First thing, you cannot tell whether someone is faking a disorder or not just by a 15-second TikTok. DID is also not rare. fact, let me pull this up in a new window. Right. So, from the National Institutes of Health, the NIH, dissociative identity disorder, DID, is a rare psychiatric disorder diagnosed in about 1.5% of the global population. So that is still millions of people that have DID. And it is very commonly misdiagnosed because of bias within the mental health area and with professionals. Because even though DID has been in the DSM even before it was renamed to DID and was known as MPD, there are still a lot of professionals who don't want to think that it exists because it is so complex. They do not want to even attempt to touch all of the trauma that causes DID. So a lot of professionals who are not equipped to deal with trauma, especially complex trauma, which everyone with DID has, they will often label people with DID as having borderline personality disorder or bipolar disorder because they view those as easier to treat, but it ultimately does a lot more damage. It definitely damaged us. We were misdiagnosed for a long time with borderline personality disorder. I think at either 14 or 15 we were. If you can hear the fan in the background, you are just honestly going to have to deal with it because it is 72 degrees outside right now, and I am not going to die from heat stroke for a stream. Okay, obviously I'm trying to reach for memories that I'm not supposed to have. But we were misdiagnosed for a long time. It did a lot of damage. It led to us thinking that we were never going to get any better. That we were too broken to be fixed. None of the therapy that we did ever worked. We were in and out of inpatient facilities. We had many unalive attempts because nothing was working and we were diagnosed with the completely wrong thing, so we were getting treatment that did not help us at all.
Which affects less than 1% of the population.
The source that I just used proves that as false.
Experts believe that severe childhood trauma, accounting for at least 9 out of the 10 cases, is a common cause of the condition.
So as we know it now, currently, the only way that you can develop DID is through prolonged childhood trauma before the ages of around 7 to 9. And that age is a very rough estimate. It just depends on the individual and when the personality fully integrates. But besides needing trauma, you also need disorganized attachments to your primary caregivers and an inherent ability to dissociate to high levels. That is the current theory on what causes DID. DID is a survival mechanism.
Those truly experiencing it wouldn't dedicate all their time to making TikToks, as they are already dealing with the significant difficulties in their everyday lives.
Yes, many systems struggle with a lot of things. I know us personally, we struggle just to function most days. Because we're either in too much pain or we're too dissociated to do anything. But that does not mean that we don't have moments where we feel okay and we just want to do something for ourselves. Whether that be streaming, playing a game, drawing, something to distract us, something fun, something that makes us happy, and we are allowed to do that. When we had TikTok, we made TikToks a lot, and it improved communication within our system. And it also was to show people that we are just like anyone else. We are allowed to exist online.
One significant aspect to understand is that different parts of a person's self can emerge, each perceiving and dealing with the world in their own unique way. It's a bit like having your own private play, but definitely not as fun as one, as this faker portrays it. Another big challenge.
Again, you cannot tell if someone is faking from a 15-second TikTok. Systems are allowed to participate in trends on TikTok if they wish. I know that we in the past have done similar videos just for fun. And we are allowed to do that. We do not need to constantly be having flashbacks, be upset about things. We are allowed to exist and just be happy sometimes. Yes, this disorder is very difficult to live with, and I would not wish it on anyone. But that does not mean that we should be constantly struggling and not allowed to do things just to do them.
Challenge for these people is memory loss, leading to gaps in their personal history that are more than just normal forgetfulness. The person might suddenly find themselves in a faraway spot, not knowing how they got there. These gaps in memory, whether they happened recently or a long time ago, add to the confusing puzzle of DID. Now think about dealing with this every single day. It's not just upsetting, it makes daily life very difficult. But what about the internal experience?
Memory loss is one of the most frustrating parts of DID that we deal with. And we have been told by people that we just need to write down notes or improve communication in the system or just try harder. And it does not work like that. Yes, we have some decent communication within our system between some alters, but there is a lot that we just don't know. There's a lot of alters that we don't have any communication with. We have alters that we know exist, but we don't know anything about them. We've never made contact with them. And it is incredibly frustrating to have to deal with that on a daily basis. But that does not mean that we cannot do things like make videos, make TikToks. Like I said before, when we had TikTok, we made TikToks and it improved our system communication because we would make TikToks to each other, whether it was to a trendy sound or just speaking. And people are allowed to do that.
Imagine feeling like you're just watching yourself do things, or hearing voices, along with thoughts that you can't control, and being out of control of your own thoughts can quickly get much darker than you might think.
Anti-endogenic realize just how little research has been done about systems, and do they realize that you can't definitively say something is or isn't valid when there's just no fucking research? There's nothing saying that this isn't valid. There's no studies have been done because people don't care. Singles don't care. There is, though, proof that it is real because it's something people experience, and it's not a mass amount of people lying about something. It's not some big fucking conspiracy. It's just people existing and vibing and living their life. God, shut up.
It's essential to recognize the complexity of treating dissociated identity disorder.
So I think I heard the word endogenic in that, but I'm not entirely sure. Let me...
I think.
Anti-endogenic realize just...
Anti-endogenic, that's what they said. Okay. I'm pretty sure that I already did an entire stream on endogenics. Endogenic systems do not exist because DID is a complex dissociative disorder caused by trauma. You cannot have DID or OSDD without trauma. You cannot be a system without trauma. It even states in the DSM, in the diagnostic criteria, that it cannot be caused by a cultural or religious aspect. Not sure what word would be best to use there. There are systems who may believe that they do not have trauma, who call themselves endogenic because of that, because the purpose of DID and OSDD is to keep the trauma hidden from you. So of course there would be people who don't believe that they have any trauma. That was something that we went through. We never called ourselves endogenic, but we struggled with thinking that we didn't have trauma. Whenever we were inpatient from, I think the first time was in middle school, right before we went into high school. In every therapy session, they would always ask, do you have any trauma? And we would always say no, because we were so sure that we didn't have any. And that's the disorder doing its job. But you cannot be a system without trauma. Endogenic systems do not exist. If you are coming to terms with being a system, then you also need to come to terms with having trauma, and that is extremely difficult to deal with. And I can't even imagine how difficult that would be, because it was difficult for us. But that's something that you need to come to terms with. You need to not spread misinformation while you are trying to process things. Because it is not okay to spread misinformation. It is fine to be confused and question things and deal with that and process that, but it is not okay to spread misinformation, because that just stigmatizes everyone more.
How little research has been done about systems, and like, do they realize that you can't definitively say something is or isn't valid when there's just no fucking research? Because people, like, there is, though, proof that lying about something, people existing.
Recognize the complexity of treating dissociated identity disorder. The primary treatment for DID is a long-term psychotherapy aimed at exposing different personalities and merging them into one identity.
That is actually an outdated treatment. Some systems still aim for final fusion. Merging all alters into one full person is called final fusion. But there is another treatment option, which is functional multiplicity. That is especially helpful for systems who would not be able to function without alters, especially for systems that have a very extreme amount of trauma. It's necessary to keep something separate. But functional multiplicity is a treatment option. That is what we are going to most likely end up doing, because we have so many subsystems and so many complexities. Okay, yeah, but yes, this is outdated information.
Alongside this cognitive and creative, therapists are also used to help individuals manage their symptoms by learning more and helping those who truly struggle with the condition. We take important steps to support their journey towards healing and recovery. And now that I've provided an understanding of what DID is and addressed the issue of individuals claiming to have this disorder, let's shift our focus to another troubling TikTok trend.
Okay, that is where I'm stopping. I am surprised that this person does not list any sources in their description. I would be very interested to see their sources and know where their information is coming from. So in specifically these two thumbnails, and also the last one, these are systems that, well, we were never mutuals with the A system, which is this one. We were mutuals with, I don't remember their system name. I want to say, I know that at one point, I don't know if their host is still Vermin, but their host at one point was named Vermin. And then we were mutuals with, I can't remember names, and it's frustrating.
Most of these influencers online who have been caught faking mental health disorders to get views and attention have been less known influencers. Well, that all changes now, because this is one of the biggest creators that is still ongoing with a large following, who is tricking their audience and lying to them. And have you ever wondered why these influencers who fake these disorders claim to be 13 to 17? Even though these disorders usually stem from childhood and symptoms typically appear at a much younger age.
Okay, again, there are no sources listed. Absolutely none. Which is frustrating. Especially because these videos get so many views. And they have so much misinformation. And I know that this is a commentary channel, which is fine. They seem to put a lot of effort into specifically the editing of the videos, which that is a compliment. I just wish that they would provide sources, because a lot of this information is not.
You ever wondered why these influencers who fake these disorders claim to be 13 to 17?
But the systems that you showed in the beginning are not minors. I believe the A system is in their 30s. I don't know the ages of the other ones, but I know that I think their system name was Pink Sugar Fairies. I know that they've been involved in some controversy, which I do not feel like getting into. I know that they are married. And I know that the others are most likely adults. Because when we were on TikTok, we did not follow anyone who was a minor.
Even though these disorders usually stem from childhood.
DID always stems from childhood trauma. But DID is also mainly a covert disorder, meaning that it is meant to be hidden from both the person that has it and the people around them. So there may be symptoms that show up in childhood, but it's not going to be anything obvious unless you know exactly what to look for, because usually it's just written off as children being imaginative. Hi, Soul. How are you doing? Do you like our new hair? I'm vibing with it a lot. Why is the chat so far to the left? I'm not bothering with that right now. Thank you, Soul. I hope that you are doing well. It has been a while.
And symptoms typically appear at a much younger age,
I don't remember if I said the rest of that
between
sentence.
5 and 10.
A lot of symptoms of DID that do present in children will be written off as children just being imaginative, playing pretend, normal things, so unless you know exactly what to look for, you are not going to see them as symptoms of DID.
But despite that, they assert that they definitely have it, without a diagnosis.
I know for a fact that the A system is professionally diagnosed. I want to say the same for Pink Sugar Fairies, and I'm fairly sure that they also are professionally diagnosed.
Or even fitting into the age range. At this point, isn't that a huge red flag?
I am confused by that. Because it is very, very, very rare for a child to be diagnosed with DID, first off. Many people will go their entire lives without even knowing that they have DID. We've heard of people in their 70s that have had no idea. We've heard of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who didn't know. It is very, very rare for a 5 to 10-year-old to get a DID diagnosis, especially because DID is caused by prolonged childhood trauma. They may still be in the situation that caused their DID. They may be still stuck in that situation. Many people with DID are stuck in that situation until they move out from where they live. So that is another thing that prevents people from getting a diagnosis.
A lot of us are really catching on at this point and seeing these influencers for who they really are and their true intentions, making money off of this. It's just disgusting. Which brings me on to a TikToker known as the A system. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Finally, a male DID faker. I'll be honest, you don't really see too many of them for some reason. I don't really know why. He claims to have 29 alters. I mean, how convenient is that? Sounds like a fun little collection he's got going on.
I'm sorry, what? For one, like I said, the A system is professionally diagnosed. For two, they were a full-time content creator for a while, but they have stepped back from that to focus on their family. So they are not posting nearly as much as they were before. And I still don't understand what you mean by...
Oh, and by the way, when I said this TikToker is one of the bigger ones, I wasn't joking. He has a solid 1 million followers on TikTok, which is outrageous. So we're really dealing with a big fish here. And just looking at his bio, when you see TikTokers that have it plastered all over their bio, I mean, you guys already kind of know what kind of content to expect.
Their platform is about their DID.
Look, I get it. It must take over your whole life if you do have one of these disorders. But do you really need to list all your disorders in your bio?
The only disorder in that bio that they just showed was DID, which makes sense because it is an account that they have about their DID.
On your TikTok account. If your content is mainly informative and you have the authority to give advice, sure. But remember, these people don't. They're not trained in any of this.
They aren't giving medical advice, though. I don't know. I wish that they would list sources and show the full bio. But from that, it only listed DID, which doesn't prove their point. It's all very confusing. But they're not giving medical advice. That's the thing. They may not be professionally trained to give medical advice. They are simply sharing their experiences with a disorder that they live with.
They're totally unequipped to give people advice, and half the time they don't even have a diagnosis.
First of all, you are not entitled to anyone's medical records. It doesn't matter if they are a public figure or not. They can choose to show their diagnosis if they want to, but no one is entitled to have that information because that is extremely personal. The A system is professionally diagnosed.
But here they are with over 1 million followers on TikTok doing all of that, which obviously is just incredibly unresponsible. Having kids get this, watching this, getting the wrong impression, and the cycle just continues. It's basically just a scam at this point. And they make these disorders that they don't have their entire identity.
Who's what, the A system? Or the person whose channel I'm reacting to? The A system they're a very popular system on TikTok, and I thought they were on YouTube for a while. They might still be, but they were one of the first systems that we found when we started our system TikTok. But they've gotten a lot of hate just for existing. They have stated multiple times that they are professionally diagnosed. I don't know if they've shown their diagnosis, but they don't need to. But to say that they're scamming people for making TikToks about DID when they live with it is confusing. I'm trying to keep my emotions in check. No, it wouldn't. We've been posted before on the Fake Disorder Cringe subreddit. Even after we showed our diagnosis. Because we have shown it. It does not stop people from fake claiming. Systems like Dissociated have shown their diagnosis, and they've gotten hate comments saying, oh, you just purposely went to this one doctor who you knew would give you a diagnosis. Or they'll say, oh, this doctor isn't actually qualified to give a diagnosis. It's... yeah, it's...
I mean, without their fabricated disorder, who are they on the internet? Oh, and also, he claims to be a teenager.
I'm sorry, what?
But just looking at a picture of the A system, who in the comments section believes this man is in his young teenage years? Probably not many of you. Anyway, let's finally take a close...
I don't understand why you did not show any proof of them claiming to be a teenager. Because they have stated multiple times that they are very much an adult. They have a wife and they have a child. I'm trying to think of videos of them we've seen. And I don't remember any of them being about them being a teenager. I know that they have littles, which littles are a common alter type in systems. They're just child alters. Alters can have different ages.
Closer look at his character and who he is on TikTok. That's right. We'll give him the attention he so badly wants, but in the right way that highlights what most of his followers are probably missing. So, known as the A System, the name of the host is Chris, and he's been on TikTok for a while now, clearly seen from that large following he has. And actually, fun fact, one of those TikTok fakers who crashed the DID community with that meet and greet they had a few years ago, and stirring up a lot of drama.
I know that they made a video on the drama. I should probably add that to the playlist. And I'll get to it eventually. It's such a long playlist already. I know that Corey was adding more videos to it.
With something like DID, you don't want to leave the house, but somehow these content creators flew across different states and all met up and had alcohol, food, drinks.
It really does keep growing. It started as just a couple of videos. I think it even was almost empty at one point. And then this past month hit with Bailey doing Art Fight. So none of the rest of us could stream because Bailey was focused on that and we wanted to give her the space to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
And a massive party, with some of those influencers now actually coming forward and saying they don't even have DID anymore.
Which influencers? Can you name them? Can you show proof? Because as far as I know, that didn't happen?
Well, funny how that works. Because in all honesty, that event was just a total shit show. And believe me, I covered all that questionable crap that went down in a video last year. I'll link it here if you guys are interested. Definitely check it out after this video if you want to see what they actually did. Honestly, it's pretty shocking and doesn't fit any of the criteria whatsoever when talking about DID.
You can exist and have moments where you exist where you don't show symptoms of your disorder. We have anxiety, professionally diagnosed, both social and generalized. I am streaming right now and I'm not having a panic attack.
But going back to the A system.
Hi, my name's Asher, and I'm an alter. Now you might be wondering, what the hell is that? Well, an alter is someone that is in a dissociative identity system, formerly known as multiple personality disorder.
Okay, hold on. First TikTok made claims to be their own individual people. This is the issue letting alters educate on social media, because in reality DID is not really individual people. It is dissociative identities created by the brain to cope with severe trauma and triggers. This video can lead to misinformation to those that don't understand DID. So alters should be treated as their own individuals unless stated otherwise, by default. Because when DID develops, each separate part will grow up with different memories and experiences. That's why we can all be so different. So yes, while we are all part of a whole, we still deserve the same respect as anyone else. Every alter, everyone in a system is an alter, even the host. There's no original in DID. So if you say that alters should not educate on social media, then you're just saying that no one with DID should ever educate on social media, because everyone in a system is an alter. I'm an alter, Bailey, our current host, is an alter, Corey is an alter, Eras is an alter. We are all alters. That does not change based on whether or not we are the host or not. The host is an alter.
In our system, we have the host, or the one that goes by the body's name of Chris, and then the rest of us. My name's Asher. There are 28 of us total in this dissociative identity disorder system. Now, just because we're not the host, we don't go by the body's name, does not mean we are any less valid as people.
Exactly. I do want to just add, I know that this is their first TikTok made, according to this, and it was made in 2021, on February 15th, I believe. Hosts in DID systems can change. We've had many host changes. Even since we were diagnosed, and I believe even before that. But the host does not need to identify with the body, the host does not need to go by the legal name or anything, it's just the alter that fronts the most. None of us currently in the system identify with the body or our legal name.
We are our own individual people with our own individual hopes and dreams and feelings that are all to ourselves, unlike anybody else in the system. I hope that could explain what an alter is.
So one of the big issues here that really bugs me, how these phonies on social media portray their fake alters as these separate, independent individuals. Take A System, for example. Each of his alters is like his own person. I know, guys, it's already pretty damn stupid.
Hold on. Let me see. Trying to find. Okay. Nope, wrong window. There we go. Symptoms of DID include having at least 2 identities, personality states. These affect your behavior, memory, self-perception, and ways of thinking. Amnesia or gaps in memory regarding daily activities, personal information, and traumatic events. Different identities affect your ability to function in social situations or at work, home, and school. This is from clevelandclinic.org, by the way. So in the diagnostic criteria, it specifically says 2 or more distinct identity states, which distinct identity states, they're not the same. We all have our different likes and dislikes. I believe it was in the video even before this that he was reading off the definition of DID and how different alters will have different ages and personalities and likes and dislikes and things like that. I don't know what you would call that other than a different person. Like, yes, we are all part of one system, but we are distinct. We are different from each other. We're not the same people. We all have our different ways of thinking, feeling. We have an alter named Lotus who loves spicy food, and most of us can't even tolerate black pepper.
To begin with, the reality of dissociative identity disorder, though, is quite different. If you're not living under a rock and have access to Google, you would know his claims are 1,000 miles away from the truth. It's not about having a bunch of distinct people inside one body. It's about coping mechanisms formed by the brain.
The coping mechanism that was formed by the brain was developing DID. It was putting up amnesia walls between different parts of the brain so that some parts hold the trauma and others don't. And each of those parts will grow up with different experiences based on the memories that they hold, depending on when they front. DID in itself is a coping mechanism that comes with 2 or more distinct states of identity. as stated in the DSM.
To severe trauma. And to be honest, before anyone gets all judgmental, I'm definitely not an expert. I don't claim to be. This stuff is just common knowledge at this point.
You do not need to be an expert to speak about DID, but you do need to know at least a little bit. You should be providing sources. Because a lot of the information is false or outdated or simply just incorrect. I doubt that this person will ever see any of the streams or the VODs that I'm doing on their videos. But if they ever do, we are very open to chatting. If you do not wish to communicate with us, then I at least encourage you to start citing sources in the description or even in a pinned comment. These videos are not meant to be an attack on you. I'm simply correcting misinformation about a disorder that we live with, and we have lived with, and struggle with, and have been professionally diagnosed twice.
And if you're going to fake a disorder, at least do your homework. Otherwise, it just becomes painfully obvious when someone is clueless about what they're pretending to have. It's certainly not a buffet of separate people living in one body. And I just kind of wish that the A system had known this earlier. Who knows? Hopefully this video might even help him.
Hi, my name is Chris, and I have dissociative identity.
This video was done in one take. Notice the hair does not change, not even one strand strays. Switching in DID is caused by triggers from past trauma, memories by present day, sight, smells, sounds, and touch as stated by numerous specialists of DID. Yes, those are called triggered switches, but you can also switch if you have communication with another alter. For example, I have very decent communication with Corey. If me and Corey were to communicate, we could kind of, I don't want to say plan out, but we could talk about if they were to switch in. The communication makes it more fluid. And I know in some systems, in ours, if an alter wants to front, then they can just front. It does not need to be caused by a trigger. Rapid switching happens when usually there's a lot of distress or something major happens or nobody is able to ground, and that's not, each switch isn't really caused by a trigger. Even just dissociating can lead into a switch sometimes. But it's not just triggered switches.
Identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. In total, I have 28 alters, and some of them would like to say hi.
Hello, I'm Art. I'm one of the gatekeepers in the system. I'm a female alter. Gatekeeper means I help control the switches.
Hi, my name is Alex, and I'm the primary protector in the system. That means I protect the system when things are going south. Hi, my name is Asher, and I'm one of the emotional protectors in the system.
Hi, my name is April, and I'm one of the protectors in the system. These are the only alters that want to actually be on video at this time. If you have any questions for us, please leave them in our comments. Happy DID Awareness Day.
So it seems like from that video, I don't know. I actually don't know anything about the A system's diagnosis journey or system journey or anything. But it seems like from that I do know that those are the front 5 altars, as they call them. Can I get this stream done? I just want to finish this video. I do know that the front 5 have a very good communication with each other, so I would not doubt that they were communicating with the switches for that video.
Now I want you guys to check out this video and notice how his hair doesn't change. Not a single strand strays as he's introducing his different altars. Like, he's magically summoning them without any triggers. And I bet this is all done in one take. Amazing, really. But the reality is, switching in DID happens due to triggers from past trauma. And certainly not because it's time to post another TikTok video.
So yes, we can't switch altars on command. I can't just force Corey to front right now, or Bailey. I think those two are the only ones close to the front right now. But I couldn't force them to front. They would have to either be triggered to front, or they would have to want to front themselves. I cannot force them to front.
Come on guys, switch quick, I need the content. Guys, if we hit 50,000 likes on this next video, I will switch. But I suppose not all fakers are the same. Other fakers suddenly switch out of nowhere, looking like they're having a seizure or something that suddenly occurs while they'll be colouring with crayons right in front of the camera, conveniently. I guess the ace...
Okay, so didn't show any example of that. Some people with DID can have seizures, known as dissociative seizures or non-epileptic seizures. Fuck. Switches can happen out of nowhere because, like I said, you don't need to have a trigger to switch. Again, it depends on the system. For us, if an altar wants to front, then they can usually just front. We can communicate with each other to switch more fluidly. We can't force switches. We can encourage switches by using things like positive triggers, but we don't really like doing that.
System had to call them individually, since he claims his altars are separate people. And yes, while watching it, it really is as ridiculous as it sounds. My boy is out here like, okay Art, say hi, and then we'll end with April. It's just crazy, man.
Hi everyone, it's Art, your friendly female altar. Ignore the hair. One question we've got a lot, and we're going to get to all the questions, is can we switch on demand? There's 5 in total that can switch in low stress environments pretty much whenever we want. It's me, Art, Alex, Chris, Asher, and April. We can all switch pretty much interchangeably in low stress environments. Now, when there's things going on or we're out somewhere, we cannot. But when we are in a safe place, we can.
That is similar to how it works for us. But that's not just switching on demand. That is just... It's like I said, we can choose to front if we want to. If we don't want to front, then unless we are forced into front by a trigger or something else, then we won't front. I'm speeding this up. I can't sit through a half-hour video on normal speed right now.
An example being today, when Asher was at work, somebody started playing a song. It's one of April's favorite songs, and it made April front. So then April had to work until she could switch out, which is harder to do in a public setting.
Yeah, because that's totally how that works.
Public settings are much more difficult to control. If you are in a safe environment that is in your control, then it is a lot easier to do things like have more fluid switches if you want. In public settings, it's a lot more chaotic and you can't predict anything that's going to happen.
I can summon them whenever I want. I'm pretty sure as well the A system at some point, and believe me, this is quite a big red flag, had a cameo. Wow, would you look at that?
I don't understand how having a cameo would be a red flag. It's just something that they did for a while because people wanted them to. I don't know. I just want to finish this video, but I'm not going to be able to. I've only been streaming for an hour. It feels like I've been streaming for 3. I don't want to switch. I do not. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn off the webcam and the mic for a few minutes. And I'm going to just... Which one would help? Okay, well, freezing right now is not helping. Okay, I'm gonna try and play some of my playlists just to ground.
There was this girl, the most beautiful in the world. She had all the boys in town wrapped around her finger. Oh, she would walk the halls and everyone would whisper and talk, 'cause all the girls in town wanted to be her. But behind those emerald eyes, she's a devil in disguise. The prom queen is bananas. Every boy and girl she dates disappears without a trace. So be careful when she asks you to dance. She's a motherfucking killer queen, a psychopath at 17, a beauty in a bloodstained dress. She'll fill your heart with kerosene and light you up till you can't breathe. If you cross your path, you just might end up dead. There was this girl who was broken by the world, 'cause every day at school they'd push and shove her. Oh, but she had a plan. One day she would get her revenge, and those cheerleaders and jocks would be 6 feet under. But behind those angel eyes lies a devilish surprise. The prom queen is killed for her crown. Every boy and girl she seeks never comes back in one piece. So be careful when she tries to ask you out. She's a motherfucking killer queen, a psychopath at 17, a beauty in a bloodstained dress. She'll fill your heart with kerosene and light you up till you can't breathe. If you break her heart, you just might lose your head. She's dancing by herself, she's crowned the queen of hell. Tears will sink into her skin. She's gonna get revenge, you're all gonna know her name. She's the one and only killer queen. Motherfucking killer queen. She sold her soul at 17, a beautiful and broken mess. She'll fill your heart with kerosene and light you up till you can't breathe. If you break her heart, you just might meet your end.
Now let's begin. You're in too deep to go back again. Cash is pay to play. You want more hits than lemonade. No, you don't own me. You don't even know me. This vagabond with a two-pop path to the great beyond. Say genuine, a ground floor art I can help you find. You're a dreamer. Call me when you're Bieber. And when they play it, you can't help but sing along. That's nothing odd, that's nothing wrong. 'Cause a good song never dies. It just reminds you of where you were the first time it made you cry, the first time you felt alive. No good song never. No good song never. The first time they made you cry, the first time you felt alive. No good song never.
Okay. Okay, I'm pretty good now. I know I'm still dissociated because my sense of smell is not like it should be. Dissociation can make your senses dull or lost altogether. Okay.
That my boy's on Cameo, where yes, if you asked him kindly enough and conveniently sent him some money, he would switch from the person that you asked him to.
That wouldn't be an immediate switch, though. Because I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't be an immediate Cameo response.
Realistically, I mean, this video should be done right now. That is the biggest red flag of them all, and is just absolutely absurd. But going back to reality quickly, alters certainly can be pretty unique, with their own names, ages, genders, sexualities, and even races. But a person with this disorder doesn't get to choose which alters show up.
Exactly, you can't choose your alters, but alters can choose to front if they want to in certain systems.
Just unconsciously randomly appear because of fragmented thoughts, memories, and emotions. While certain triggers can bring out specific alters, people with DID can't just switch to any alter whenever they want.
Exactly.
So if you see someone, not just the A system, using different identities to make TikToks, most likely they're probably faking.
I'm sorry, what? You do realize that when alters are out, they can choose to do what they want? So I'm out right now, I'm choosing to stream. I could choose to make a video or draw or whatever right now. If we steal a TikTok, I could choose to make a TikTok. Just because different alters make TikToks doesn't mean that they're faking. It just means that they might have a shared interest in that because some of us like similar things. I know Bailey is very fond of my playlist, even though they have their own.
It because they'd have to tell each alter to join in.
Systems can communicate with their alters, even if not internal communication. They can still leave notes and things, and even have outside people pass on messages.
Just to shoot a video, but that's not how that works. It's involuntary. Let's say he's really trying to force switches. Firstly, trust me, it's not as harmless as it might seem.
So we work at a...
Hold on.
Force switches. Firstly, trust me, it's not as harmless as it might.
Passive influence is more common than switching, and it is more covert and harder to notice. Even switching is rarely as blatant or extreme as the media commonly portrays. It is rarely accompanied by an alter changing what clothing the system is wearing, announcing themselves in public, or extreme whiplashes in behavior or personality. Although an individual's therapist or spouse may learn to recognize not only switches but specific alters, most others may rationalize away any switching that they notice as the individual with DID being abnormally tired, grumpy, or in a strange mood. Even close friends who have expressed previous interest in knowing which alter is out may find that the DID system tries to hide switches from them, and that only a few alters that feel very comfortable around the friend are actually willing to make their presence known. Most systems will go to great lengths to hide their condition. Denying and downplaying symptoms as much as possible is common. Yes. That is correct. Because DID is a mainly covert disorder. There are some systems who are completely overt, but what's being described here is masking, which a lot of systems do. We do it in our everyday life because it's what we're most used to. When we stream, like I'm streaming now, I did what I wanted with putting on a shirt that I really like, I put on some makeup. I'm still masking a little bit because it's very difficult to unmask. But that's just describing masking, and not all alters will mask. Before I fused, one of the alters that I was before absolutely hated masking. She refused to do it. Some alters will not be comfortable doing anything except masking. Some alters will absolutely hate masking and refuse to do it. And sometimes it's in between. It depends on the alter and the system. Switching can be obvious, but we can also mask our switches. If I were to switch right now, I would probably not mask it because masking is completely exhausting, and I don't know if we've ever masked our switches on stream. When we're alone, we don't mask. When we're around people, we do mask. If we don't want people to know that we've switched, they will have no idea.
I see.
So we work at a restaurant. And
Forcing switches is not fun to do. It can cause confusion and anxiety. Switches can consist of changes in heart rate, derealization, and sometimes somatic pain symptoms to the body. Yes, switching is not fun, usually. For us, it leaves us very dissociated for a while after. It leads to confusion, more memory loss. Sometimes it feels like we're in a sleepwalking state. We get very dizzy. A common thing for us is, especially when we heavily dissociate and when we switch, our head feels like it's just full. Too full. It's not like a painful feeling, it just feels too full. And sometimes it feels like we're walking through fog, and we'll have sometimes even days like that.
today we were doing what's called janitor work, where basically we helped clean up the restaurant before it opened. So what happened was somebody blew up a toilet. Somebody clogged the toilet. Bathroom was wrecked, okay? I walk in there, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna get someone else to do this. So what I did was I put in headphones and I started playing a different alter, Alex's music, really loud, trigger him out, so he had to do it.
That does happen in some systems with some alters. It's not a nice thing to do. It's not something that I would ever encourage anyone to do. I think we've done it in emergency situations where we need another alter in the front for whatever reason, especially for me since I am the primary protector. I go between the front and our inner world a lot. I'm always very busy. That's another reason why I haven't been able to stream, because I've been busy with dealing with different alters and making sure that everything is fine. And so sometimes when I am in front and there's something in our system that I need to handle, I will have to either communicate with an altar nearby and switch that way, or I will have to use a positive trigger for someone and get them in front.
Just little stuff like that really is fun to do.
Forcing these switches can lead to a lot of confusion and anxiety. So when this happens, it can involve rapid changes in heart rate, feeling disconnected from reality, which is called derealization, and sometimes even physical symptoms like body pain. So, as you see in real life, it isn't usually as dramatic as TikTok likes to show it. It's not often that alters change the system's clothes or proudly announce themselves in public. It's too serious and dramatic.
That system, the Sprite Company, I don't know if they're online anymore because they were used in that McLean video, which that video did a lot of damage and is still doing damage. And I believe it will continue to do damage because of how it was presented. And I know that we did a video when it released but I think that this system is diagnosed. I don't know for sure. But switches can be very dramatic. Sometimes it's easier to switch if, you know, you have your head down. Sometimes switches can just cause your body to almost shut down, which can lead to things like head drops.
At it to be flaunted on the internet.
In order to switch in our system, you have to be in the front room.
Switching in DID, as stated by research and specialists, must consist of amnesic barriers, derealization, and causes immense strain on the body and mind. Doing this 100 times a day would lead to many body ailments, causing severe strain on the vagus nerve, BP, and heart rate. I would like sources for that, because some systems do switch very, very often, especially if they're smaller systems with better communication. For us, we switch, I don't even know, we're mostly co-con or co-fronting more than just full switches. But we used to switch, I think, like a dozen times a day. I know that when we were in our outpatient therapy program, the most recent one we did, which was, when was that? It must have been last year in March, maybe? But we were switching a lot more often there because it was a new environment, it was stressful, and everyone was curious about it.
And then you can switch in. 5 of us pretty much hang out in there all the time. Me, April, Asher, Chris, and Alex. We call ourselves the front 5 because we're always fronting. We switch 100 times a day. We're good at it. So when we want to shoot videos with more than one of us in there, we usually just go to the front room and wait our turn. If y'all like to see more switching videos, let us know in the comments.
And what's even more infuriating, and should really annoy you guys as well, is just how this dummy boasts about switching altars, like, not just a couple of times, not even 10. 20? Yeah, not even close, guys. How about a staggering 100 times a day? Yes, 100 times. is what he claims. If any of you with DID are out there watching this video, please leave a comment, because I'm dying to hear your take. How
I would leave a comment. I would, but most of us have agreed that it is not a good idea to leave comments or advertise our reaction videos to the people that we are reacting to, because we don't know how they will respond. We don't know if they will take it as an attack. And we are a very, very, very small platform. I think we have 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which we just post the VODs on. We have pretty much the same amount on Twitch. So if someone with 500,000 subscribers, like this channel, was to even make a response video to us, then that leaves us extremely vulnerable. We're already being vulnerable by reacting to these and doing streams and correcting the misinformation. But again, this is not meant to be an attack. This is just us as someone who lives with this disorder and struggles with it. It's just us correcting misinformation, clarifying things if there's been misunderstandings.
How is this even possible?
I do want to answer this question though, but not in a comment. I will leave it to just the stream. For some systems, it is possible to switch many, many, many times in a day, whether it be from being in a very triggering environment, or if they're a system that has very good communication between specific alters, like the A system. All 5 of them have extremely good communication with each other. And having good communication between alters, if you're switching, can lessen the physical and mental effects of switching. So, for example, I know that Corey and Bailey co-front a lot. They can switch very fluidly. They have very good communication. So when they switch, sometimes they don't even know that they've switched because it's so fluid, and sometimes the amnesia with this disorder can even cause amnesia with switching, so you won't even realize or remember that you've switched. But having very good communication like the A system does with the front 5 can lessen or even eliminate completely the physical and mental effects of switching. It depends on how far they are in their recovery, their communication overall, what's going on around them. But it is possible to switch that many times without having severe pain or severe derealization.
Is it plausible at all for him to be flipping through altars 100 times a day? Probably be burning about 20,000 calories a day. But yeah, I'm sure we're all equally as dumbfounded and annoyed by this at this point. For those of you without this mental disorder, just think about changing your look multiple times a day for a stupid TikTok video.
Most systems won't change their clothes multiple times a day. Some will. Some systems have altars where they have very specific clothing that is their specific clothing. Like with me, I think I'm going to claim this shirt as my own. But I know that for us personally, we don't have a lot of energy to begin with because of all the comorbid disorders that we have, which people with DID will have most likely comorbid disorders because of prolonged trauma can affect you physically, and it can lead to things like chronic illness and chronic pain. And obviously, there's a lot of depression and anxiety that comes with it. Everyone with DID has CPTSD. I don't remember what I was talking about. Fuck. Clothes. Okay. But we don't... Honestly, I just threw this shirt on over our pajamas. And we don't get dressed most days unless we go somewhere. We get dressed for therapy every week now because it's in person and not telehealth. But most days we have to save our energy to just get through the day. I can feel a headache coming on. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this video in this stream. I'm too dissociated. Grounding helped for half an hour, but I can't. And this is another frustrating thing about having DID. When we're trying to do something, and we're too dissociated to even function. I can't ground. No, just end this stream. Give me a minute for the room to stop spinning. I don't think we've eaten. Okay, not that I'm gonna be here for too long, but I think it's, what? There. I think it's mainly Bailey. But I know that Corey's here too, and it's kind of a blendy mix, and I don't think we've eaten since I don't know. I'm ending stream. We need to go eat. We need to not be on stream right now. Yeah, if you want to see this VOD in full and our other past VODs, I think we have our YouTube linked to our Twitch. If we don't, it's the same username. I know that we have like altar playlists and stuff on there, but anyway, we need to go. We need to eat. We need to take care of this headache. We need to not. Okay, sorry. Thank you everyone for watching. I don't know when the next stream will be, because we never know when the next stream is going to be. We would set a schedule, but it's not plausible for us to set a schedule because we don't know who's going to be fronting when. And that's another thing with this disorder. So anyway, thank you, and bye.